everyone. Welcome back to Lowkey Not a podcast. I'm Amanda, and today I have my mom with me here. It is the day after Mother's Day, so I thought it would be perfect time to have her on here to talk about the seasons of motherhood and all that fun jazz. So we're going to dive into that. She's going to share a little bit about her heart and what it was like for her to be a working mom. And we're just going to go off of our conversations a little bit and share about how we both feel about that. And Mom, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. First, thanks for having me on here. I'm super excited and so very proud of you. So my name is Beckie Cottage, and currently I work at a college campus where I work in the alumni department. And I have a wonderful husband who very, very soon we are going to celebrate 40 years of marriage. So I'm very excited about that. And hitting a milestone birthday coming up here in a couple of weeks. So I got bittersweet feelings about that. And then I have two beautiful daughters. I have Amanda, who's my oldest, and she's married to a wonderful son-in-law, Matt, and they have a beautiful granddaughter, Anaya. And then I have another daughter, Alina, who is also married to a wonderful man. And currently they are in Texas. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, we'll make sure we touch on the Texas part at the end, because that'll be the emotional part.
Yeah, you're determined to make me cry today.
No, I'm not determined. But it's good to hear things like this, because, I don't know, it's funny because my nephew is, as you know, JD, he's leaving today as we're recording. He's leaving today to go to Africa for missions training. And we wrote letters to, his mom wanted us to write letters to him. And so we were doing that. And this morning when I was writing his, I felt it to type a text message out to Jamie and his mom. And then I texted his sister. And when I was texting her, I was getting emotional, because I was I know how hard it is having your sibling leave, because my sister just moved to Texas and it's really hard. I didn't realize it was going to be as hard as it was on me. And I was telling her the other day, I literally just cried, I miss my sister. I just want my sister here to talk to her. And so I think it's family moves away all the time. I feel now, especially with jobs and stuff. So I feel it's a good thing. We'll touch on it a little bit later. But diving in, I know that you were a stay-at-home mom, or not stay-at-home mom, you were a working mom. Mm-hmm. And so what was the hardest part about that for you with us when we were really little? Because I can't remember, how old was I when you started, when we went to the babysitter? I can't remember.
Okay. So let me back up just a little bit, because I have to lay some groundwork. So I actually struggled with infertility. I went through a lot of medical issues before. And so we had been married 7 years when we decided to have a family, because we had moved away and came back to the area. And so when we decided right off the bat, they discovered some issues that I had. And so we had very aggressive treatments to take care of that. And so that was a very emotional time. And I thought that was going to fix the problem right away, which it did not. It was 5 years later, actually, and at the point where we had just decided that maybe God was steering us in a different direction, and maybe we were supposed to adopt, which we were very open to. And so we started looking into that. And I have to share this one thing, because God has over and over again just been so good at speaking to me, sometimes through other people and sometimes directly, but it has always resulted in such a sweet season of my life. And so I had a lady that I went to church with that I didn't know very well that had came to me and gave me several scriptures. And not too long later, I discovered that I was pregnant. And so we waited to share, because I was just so nervous about being pregnant, because it didn't come easy to me. And honestly, it was just such a sweet, sweet time when I got to realize that God, because I had felt all along that God had created me to be a mom. I just would tell your dad, my husband, I would cry out and just say, I have this ache and this emptiness. I just know that God has created me to have children and to be a mom to other people. And so anyway, fast forward a little bit, had you were early, of course, impatient, and to get here. And so I was into my maternity leave. I was working full time at that time at a hospital.
Yeah.
And we really didn't discuss whether I was going to go back to work, but I know that your dad expected me to go back to work. And I was just like, I thought, I'm not going to deal with it. I don't want to think about it. I just want to enjoy my baby. And so I did that. And it's coming to the end of my maternity leave. And he had said to me, what's your plan? And I said, what do you mean, what's my plan? What's your plan for a babysitter? And I said, I don't have a plan. Like, if God wants me to go back to work, God will find me a babysitter. I'm not looking. And by the way, like, I have prerequisites. I want someone who is, first of all, a believer, someone who the household my kids go to, they're going to be surrounded with what we believe. And secondly, I want someone who's a nurse because I want my kids to feel safe there. I want to feel like I feel good because I'm leaving them with someone. And thirdly, which was probably the most ridiculous, unreasonable request, I wanted someone who lived 5 minutes from our house because we all know that it takes me a long time to get ready and get out of the house.
She's always late.
And to get to work. And so I needed someone who was close so it wouldn't deter me from getting to work. So I just said that because it was ridiculous, like at the time, ridiculous. And
no one was going to meet the standards.
I thought no one is going to ever fall in that. And so at the time we had a business, which I did very little with. I had my job and then your dad had his business and I just helped with little things, but I never really answered the phone. And we had a separate line at our house for the business. And I thought, that's his business. I don't really want to answer any questions about that. So I'm not going to answer the phone. So someone called and left a message on the machine for me, and I just deleted it, ignored it, and deleted it. And a couple of days later, the phone rang again, and I just wasn't thinking. I walked by and I picked up the phone, and it was this lady, and she said, hi, my name is Charlene, and I understand that you're looking for a babysitter. And I was like, what? Because I had not said anything to anyone really, because I didn't want to go back to work. And so we had a mutual connection through my work. She was related to someone I worked with. And so I said, okay. And she continued to talk to me. And she, as I talked to her, I asked her, like, are you a believer? And she was a believer. And then I said, well, why don't we schedule some time to meet? And so I did like a preliminary babysitting thing. I had a dentist appointment or something, and she watched you. But I went and I talked to her, and I think I did at that time discover that she lived 2 minutes from our house, which of course God always surpasses what you ask for. And then when I got up there, we were talking, and she was an LPN, which, a nurse. Yeah. So I kind of knew, even though I was fighting it a little bit, that God wanted me to really go back to work. He had a purpose for me at work. Yeah. And it's not that God is cruel or, he wants to put you in situations that are difficult. Whenever he does, it's for a reason. It's to grow you, and because your purpose is for other people. And so I knew I needed to go back to work. And honestly, the relationship we formed with that family was phenomenal. But so to answer your question, from really almost birth, you were with a sitter, which was extremely difficult. And for our family situation, my sisters worked, and my mom and my mother-in-law didn't live in the area. They both lived in Florida. And so that was never an option. Family was not. So this was, honestly, they became family to us, as you well know, growing up with them. So anyway, I think that answers your question. Very long, but
No, it was perfect. No, I think it's good too, because even birth, how much maternity leave did you get?
At that time, I got 12 weeks.
Oh, wow. So you had a long time.
Yeah, 3 months.
Yeah,
which is a great time to bond. And
I mean, I think, so I was 25 when I had Anaya, so 25 years later, and the doctor was, all that I went through, the doctor was only going to write me off 8 weeks. So, I mean, that was really nice that they gave you 12 weeks of maternity leave. Well, I thought it would have gone the opposite way. I would have thought you would have got more. Leave now.
Well,
because now there's paternity leave. That's all my friends' husbands have paternity leave, and it's crazy how long they get.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you work and the size of the company, because if they have to follow FMLA law, you are allowed. But now I think that if you do a regular birth, they usually say 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, which is like insane.
Yeah.
Especially like when you breastfeed.
Yeah, it's not
like
fair. It really, I mean, really, it's good to be able to bond with the baby for a while before you go back and feel comfortable leaving them with someone else, like I had to do.
Did you feel like with us being with a sitter and stuff, did you feel like you missed out on like a bond with us at all?
This is the thing about her that was excellent. And I'll tell you what I did struggle with. But the thing was excellent about her, she never told me about the things you did first. She let me experience them as a mom, which again, she was phenomenal. Like your first steps, like to me, it happened with us. You know, your first words. And like later, I think that we laughed over it. We shared a couple of things that she goes, yeah, I don't want to tell you that happened already. But so, I mean, she was really good about letting me experience those first time momentous occasions that moms love to, be with their child and not worry about them being at a daycare or something when that happens. So,
I know, especially like for me, the newborn phase, I feel like was like the hardest for me because I felt like I didn't connect with Anaya at all because I didn't get to hold her in the hospital. I didn't get to do like chest. I mean, they put her on my chest for the C-section, but that was like the only time I really the only time I would hold her was when I was breastfeeding. I didn't get to breastfeed long. Like I wanted to breastfeed longer. And I was like just frustrated. And then like I would go near my friends who their kids, they would always joke and be like, oh, like my kid always just wants me because he wants to eat or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, like I don't have that. Like everyone would feed my kid. And like Anaya, I'm pretty sure said like every other name before my name. And I remember just being like, oh my gosh, I hate this. But now that she's 2.5, she very much is like attached to me. And like, so I always feel like I always say like the newborn phase, it's always nice that it's first. Because I feel like they can't really like speak or like you don't know what they're thinking or how they're feeling or anything like that. And they accidentally say things. And even at a year old, I feel like she would say stuff she didn't know was like, because like it was my own personal issues that like I was having issues with it. But like when she would like cry for like somebody else, like it would break my heart. Because I would see like, because you just see highlight, like when I would see people, you just see snippets of them. And I'd be like, why their kid's crying for them and my kid's crying for her freaking grandma? Like, why is she crying for her grandma? Like, want me, I'm your mom. And like, I know for me though, that was like very challenging was I felt like I had no connection with Anaya in the newborn phase. And I like didn't want to, I was like, and I feel like to that led, I don't think I had like truly like postpartum depression, but it definitely made me feel a certain way where I would like get in moods and like get sad because I was like, this kid doesn't want me. She doesn't like me. And like, she doesn't want me. Like, she just wants Matt. Like, she would sleep on Matt and not me. And that would always bug me because he got to spend so much time with her in the hospital.
Yeah, I think too, like your recovery was so long. Like, so for you didn't really feel 100% for a while. And so
when it hurt that I thought I was going to want her so, like I wanted her so bad. And then when I was in the hospital, I just like did not want her. And I felt like so guilty saying that like out loud, like, but I did not want to hold her. I didn't want to do anything because I was just like in this like clouded mindset of like, I'm just going to push through, get through this next week. But like, I think too, that was hard because you like feel so guilty for like wanting, even like when I yell at her now, I'm like, I wanted her, like I just got her to go back. I'm always like when I'm mad at her, I'm like, I need to go back to that feeling of I wanted her so bad. And I prayed for her. Yeah. I prayed for her strong will.
Yeah. I think it's hard as a parent too, especially when you pray for certain things. And I, as I look back, I mean, that's my one thing I would say to young parents that I talk to, recognizing leadership and I wish I would have recognized it earlier. Because I feel like some things that we really fought were things that God was developing in you guys. And had I recognized it earlier, I might have said and done some different things instead of fighting that willful, what came across as willful a lot of times was really like developing leadership in you guys. Because I feel like both you and your sister have strong personalities. I mean, we're both strong personalities, but you guys have strong personalities. And one of the things that we always prayed for was that you would be leaders. And the other thing I think we always prayed for was that you would always be okay if something ever happened to us younger or, young in your lives that we weren't around, that you would be okay. And honestly, both of you are. Like, you're very independent and I'm very confident where you are with your relationship with the Lord, and you have good marriages. And so that is a blessing. but it was hard developing that. Sometimes it was frustrating. Frustrating. So
no, and that's one thing. Like I always tell Matt, because I feel like Matt definitely. It's funny. Who would have thought that Matt is so laid back with everybody else in the world except Anaya. Like he's like everyone. I think thought that I'm definitely less laid back than Matt, but I am the more laid back parent. And like I can take more hits from her and like kind of like let her like have her moment and then talk to her. Whereas he definitely like she'll push him over the edge before she pushes me. But I told Matt that I felt that you and Dad did such a good job of teaching me and Elena to think on our own and like believe for ourselves and think for ourselves and speak for ourselves, like to have our own opinions and do our own thing. Like you gave us so much space to do that, and you taught us what we believed and like why we believe it and how to find out what you believe at a young age. That I told Matt, like, I don't want to get mad because her personality is like so curious and so independent. Like I want to somehow cultivate that in her of she's going to know, yeah, she's confident and like she knows that's wrong and this is right and this is why, and she can tell you why. And like it doesn't matter what anyone in the room says, she can listen to other opinions in a nice way and not necessarily, I don't want her to like argue with people, but she can sit there and listen to other opinions and like still feel validated herself. She doesn't need validation from other people. And I think you and Dad did such a good job, and me and Elena, in that, because I feel like that is one thing where Elena's definitely more stubborn than I am. Like she might be stubborn, but she knows who she is. Like, and no one can trample. No one's like, even to like, I feel like especially like I'm learning in motherhood, I didn't realize like loneliness is so easy to get into, and it's funny because I'm never alone now. but I'm never alone, but yet I can feel so lonely at times, and I'm starting to realize that like it's so good to like know who you are in the loneliness, because that's when there's room for doubt, and that's where too you're willing to listen to other people and what their opinions, because you just want to get out of that loneliness. And so I think it's really good. Like I try to instill that in Anaya, what you guys built in us, like a good foundation in us with.
Well, I'd love to tell you that it was all very intentional. Yeah. I mean, some of it was.
Lots of prayer.
Some of it was accidental. But the other thing I would tell you is very, very important, which is another piece of advice I would give moms, is surrounding yourself with moms on the same path as you, like, and the same belief system, but also having that one older mom that is already through the season. I mean, you can have more than one, but at least having one mom that is through the season that you are in right now, so that they can help you navigate it. Because that was one thing that was very helpful. Like, I'd be like, honestly, it's scary when you listen to other older moms' stories and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I could ever navigate that.
Yeah.
But then when you come into that season, you realize that person imparted some wisdom in you that allows you to maybe like, okay, let me think about this for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, let me not react. Let me be intentional on how I respond to this situation.
Yeah.
So I think that that's very, very important. And I'm so glad that God organically did that for me.
Yeah.
And I was open to it, because I've often given that advice to people. Make sure you have a good, strong mentor, and that you surround yourself with women like-mindedness that can give you solid advice, obviously.
It's funny you like brought that up, because I always, you know this, I've said this to you so many times, that I get so annoyed that we always click with people older than us. And I hate it. Like, I'm like, why can't I just find the perfect, I say this to everybody, why can't I find the perfect 27 to 28-year-old couple that is in the same phase of life as us, the same walk, and like, we're always naturally just drawn to people like in their 30s or like older than us. And I'm always like so frustrated, because I'm like, I feel like I can't fully click with them, because they're just in a different season of life. They're always like a season ahead of me. And it's funny, because I had discipleship on Thursday, and like I talked to my sister for like 2 hours after discipleship. I drove 45 minutes home, and then I was home, and she was telling me she just was feeling like the loneliness that I was feeling. She was feeling too, and we were bonding over it and talking about it. And in the middle of our conversation, I told her, I said, it's funny because I'm actually like, I've never like been in mid-conversation and like heard God like specifically speak to like just me. But in the middle of our conversation, I felt God just really tug on my heart and say, like, how do you expect to raise kids that you don't want to make the same mistakes as other people? You keep praying that prayer to me, that you want to make the same mistakes as your parents made, or that Matt's parents made, or his siblings made. Like, you want me to protect you and guide you through those difficult situations. He said, but yet you're not willing to have the people who've been through it speak into your life. And I was just like, dang, like, and to like, me and Matt always say, like, we always feel like for some reason we always just are people's, like, we never know what God called us. Like, we don't know what God calls us to, in all honesty, but we always just hear the word steadfast, and that God just, right now, we just feel like God has us being, like, steadfast. Like, that couple and that family that's just there for people. We're a solid foundation for people to come to, ask questions, like, ponder their faith, and just, like, sit and listen to them and, like, love them, like, truly. We just feel like that's, like, our call. That's, like, the only call we have in our life. It's that. And that's, like, the mission of our family, and that's what we want to build as a foundation for our family. And I also felt like after having that moment and God say that to me, I just, like, felt like, wow, like, I can't be that if I don't have people who are older and wiser and been through those seasons, like, pouring into me and talking to me and, like, holding me to that, like, steadfast, like, holding me accountable. Because sometimes when people are in the same season as you, they can't help you through it because they're going through it too. And so it's funny that you said that, because that's one thing that I feel like God has always done for me naturally. And I, like, am always so, like, I don't want it. Like, I don't want to have a good relationship. Like, I love my sister-in-law. She's literally, like, I don't even look at her as my sister-in-law. I look at her as my big sister. And, like, I talk to her about just the way I talk to my younger sister. I talk to her, and, like, I feel like we have that relationship where she'll call me out and tell me, like, no, I think you're doing the wrong thing. And I'm always like, oh, like, I like hate that I just, like, want to always talk to her about stuff, because I'm like, she has her friends and she's older, and like, I want someone who's, like, crying like me. But it's like, if I had someone who was having a pity party with me, we'd just be having pity parties. We would never get over the pity parties. Like, we never would grow. And so I do think that's, like, so important. And I feel like sometimes we look at it as, like, it's, like, a bad thing. But really it's a good thing to have someone who is helping you and teaching you. And I think too, we're not always very receptive to, like, hearing.
What two words came to mind while you were talking, and I thought immovable, but moldable. And
that's
so
good.
I think, like, like, being steadfast, like you said, and securely grounded on what you believe, and rooted is a good term.
Yeah.
Being rooted in it so that you don't move with the tides of life that can be very difficult, and the people that come in and out of your life, but being moldable so that when someone has that ability to speak into your life, and you recognize that's how God does talk to us. A lot of times it's through other people.
Yeah.
So, it's just funny. I thought of those words when you were talking.
Yeah, no, I thought those were two really good words. But what do you think your favorite season, like, of motherhood is?
It's so hard to say. Honestly, like, I thought about that. I was thinking about that driving here, because I've just enjoyed, honestly. I'm not going to tell you that it was all butterflies and rainbows.
Oh, yeah.
They were challenging, but I've really enjoyed being a mom in all seasons. Some of them are a little more, it's challenging, I think, because I loved being mom so much. And I was thinking about how would I define mom love, and how I define mom love is fierce. So I feel like I love fiercely, like I do. And so for me, it's hard to be away from you guys. So, like, that's really hard for me. Probably this season I'm going to cry.
It's okay. I'm sure there's a mom watching this who feels the same exact way that you
do.
Even
though it's good, it's a sweet season to watch you guys honestly grow and again, take root in your families and do such great things that are beyond what I would. You guys have such boldness. I'm more of a stuck in my I love comfort zone. And so I know that God pushes us out of comfort zone for a reason, for growth. But I watch you guys and you're just so bold and, like, not afraid to, like, take on the next challenge. And so I think now is really sweet. Again, I was thinking about what was my hardest season, and almost now is too, because when you guys hurt, I hurt. And so it hurts more to watch you guys struggle. Like when you had Anaya, that was such a hard season for me to watch you go through that, because I wanted to take all that away and I wanted it to just be an enjoyable time for you and not the struggles that came with that. And then on top of it, I was sick and was not able to be the one
to
that
take
took care of you. And I'm like, really, Lord? Like, like I've had to like work their whole lives. And on top of it, I didn't even mention we did ministry. Like we've done ministry your whole life. So like we've always been very busy and immersed you guys in activity and fun stuff. But also, it's challenging. But anyway, so it was really hard for me to be, to watch from afar, but your mother-in-law did such a good job of taking care of you. And she was really, really sweet and good about letting me know what was going on and making me feel like I was in that hospital room with you. And, and the baby, keeping me updated on those things. So at least I got to be there for the birth. So that was, for sure a memory that I take away. But anyhow, I know I'm not really clear on, but I just really have. I've enjoyed every season, of your lives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I was going to ask you too. I remember what I was going to ask you. How did you deal with when we would hurt you?
That's a very good question.
I just thought of it on the spot while you're talking, and because I was thinking, and I was like, we definitely, I know, have said things like my daughter's in the phase. She's only 2.5, and she says that she doesn't like me sometimes, and I'm like, but like when they actually mean it, when we were teenagers, and I know we've said hurtful things or we've made decisions that have hurt you. How did you like
navigate it?
Yeah.
I think that the best thing I can tell you, again, it hurts. It hurts. And you always want to be like, in your kids' eyes, mom, you want to be that person that they admire and look up to and love. And, we equate that to being obedient, I think, and, compliant. And, let's face it, we're all human. We don't always say the right things. And so I think for me, it was first understanding my identity in Jesus and my identity as a mom, and that comes from him. And no one can negate that, can devalue it, can take it away. And so having that, I had to look at you guys like you're growing, you're learning, and I tried not to take it personal. And honestly, I would just pray about it. I'd pray about it, and then I would just, honestly, you have to understand too your role. And my role was things don't always gonna feel good to you that I know are better for you, or your dad knows are better for you. And so you got to make those hard decisions that when you're growing up, or when you're a child, or even when you're a young adult, you might not understand it because you're not coming at it from that parent perspective. You're coming from itself. How does this affect me personally? And so I think like recognizing that you weren't always going to understand. I think now it's such a sweet season for me and you because you're a mom. And so now you understand some things, some hard decisions that we made, maybe some conversations you didn't like. And so now you're understanding like why those happened. And so that's why I think things come full circle. And this is a sweet season.
Yeah. No, yeah. I feel like everyone, I feel like a lot of things I hear is like once your daughter, especially daughters, once they're like married, they become like almost like your best friend. They transition into like one of your best friends. And I think that's when like I consider like you, like I feel like we're very close. Talk to you probably every day. And I don't know, it's even cool to see too, like my daughter, how much she loves you and dad and Ken and Cheryl. Like she loves her aunts, but like she just has a special bond with both sets of grandparents. And me and Matt always talk about like how if that was one prayer that we never prayed, that we're so glad that like we didn't know we needed that like we should have prayed for that, but like God answered it anyway. And like she has such a good foundation with you guys, and like she respects you and loves you. And I mean, she's getting into we push boundaries, but I don't like you, or I don't want to do that. Like she's very vocal now. But another question before we like kind of start wrapping it up was too, I wanted to ask you so I know everybody has their different take on like parenting, like when you're in a Christian home and you're raising your kids up to like love Jesus and all that sorts of things. Everyone has their own way of doing it. But how did you and dad navigate that? And like how did you guys what was your kind of process and mindset making sure me and Elena like knew who we were, knew who God was? Like what were the different things that steps you guys took so that we would kind of be on the right path, the path you wanted us to be on?
Sure. And so I don't think we took a typical path. And again, I wish I could tell you that everything was calculated and planned out exactly. I think we knew end result what we wanted, but we didn't always have the exact plan. And we just kind of, a little bit flew by the seat of our pants, but a little bit not. Anyway, I think being very involved in church and making sure that you guys saw the importance of that it wasn't just something we paid lip service to. It was real. It was in our home. We were always talking about those things with you guys in the car, on car rides, to and from practices, whether it's softball, cheering, whatever you were doing, band practice, all of those things. We were always talking about God. God wasn't just someone far off. God was an intricate part of our life, that we had a relationship. And so I think like that piece of it, what's important to God became important to us. And so realizing that parenting is not about you as a parent, it's really about that child. And our life is always about the other person and someone else, and what we can pour into them and what we can contribute to their life. And so I think having that mindset going in, it allowed your dad and I to make our life was very busy. It was not easy to do ministry on top of working. And I wouldn't say that that's everyone's call to the level that we did it.
Yeah.
We were very, very involved. I feel like you guys were at church as much as you were at home. But
probably
I think overall, like for us, that was very good. And it laid some very strong roots in you, because we were surrounding you with people that believed the same way. Pretty much, our faith was the same. And so you were hearing a resonating message, and you were in public school. So it's not like you were going to Christian school and hearing that message there. So teaching you to be the one, and that was hard, the one that stood out, the one that made the stand for what you believed, because, of course you want your kids to be liked. You want your kids to have a good experience in school, but learning later, and it took a little while. That wasn't the purpose of you being there. The purpose of you being there was for you to step out in your faith and step out and lead other people and be an example, which sometimes was hard because one, it puts you under a microscope. And so people really look close at your flaws and your mistakes and the things that you don't live up to, that you talk about and say. And so I just think doing things like that and recognizing that you have a voice no matter where you're at, whether it's in school, whether it's on a job, and you carry that with you. And so it's important to understand not everybody's called into missions, not everybody's called into ministry, but we're all supposed to be doing things for the Lord and carrying that message wherever we're at. And for me, it was always work. I had work jobs outside of the home. And so carrying it, and I went from a place that was not, it was a very secular place, to now I'm in a Christian college. So it's a different feel. But anyway, just teaching you guys that.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good. And too, like, I feel like you guys always made it, I do think, Dad always made it, fun for us.
He had a gift for that.
Dad always made church fun, because I think, too, he knew it was, exhausting for us to be there. And it was, kind of funny, because we were last night with my brother and sister-in-law and their kids, my niece and nephew. We were talking about just a scripture from the Bible, and I was like, I remember it was something about Hagar, something about Hagar, and then we were talking about I was saying I remember there's 66 books of the Bible. I was because my dad used to always do Bible trivia, and we'd always try to win prizes, and then me and my sister would win, and he'd be like, "You're my kid, you can't win," and we'd get so mad. So we were determined to make him have to give us something. So, and he was the donut man, and he always did fun things with us.
Candy maker.
The candy maker, yeah.
Yeah.
That made it that I actually share the stories with my daughter. And I'm excited to do the candy cane with her at Christmas time and talk about the Christmas tree and the cross. And I think it's cool. And I think it is I think sometimes it's almost we get scared to make Christianity fun for our kids, but I feel it's okay to make it fun for them, because that's just the way they're going to hold on to it and learn. I remember the story of the candy cane over the 20 Bible verses we used to remember, you know, and it made memorizing those Bible verses more fun because I was like, oh, it went along with this story and it just clicked. And so I think you guys did like a great job of like making it fun. And obviously we got lucky that our parents were over youth ministry and not
children's ministry.
Or children's ministry and not the boring parts of the church. But
What?
there were boring parts. Dad was never financed, thank God. He was over the kids, so we got to have fun with him. But and then to kind of close up, I wanted you to kind of share on with Elena moving away, just kind of how you navigated, like, I don't know, it's almost like you have to grieve her because she did leave. Like, she did, obviously you still have that relationship, you guys talk every day, but how did you kind of grieve her moving? I don't know how many miles away she is, but she's down in Texas.
She's far away.
Far away.
Yeah, I know it took 20 hours to drive there, so. So it's interesting. Like, I honestly couldn't talk about it before she left because every time I tried to talk about it, I would get upset. But it's knowing and being assured that God honestly has a hand on your kid's life, and he loves her way more than I could. As much as I love her and I love Larry, he loves them even more. And so trusting that things might not all look like fine and dandy and good, it's rough and challenging, but knowing ultimately that God has his hand on them in their life and they're following him. And so that was the first thing. I just rested in that, and I had so much peace. And then I just got to say that she was so good, her and Larry, about letting us, and your dad and I talk about this often, letting us be part of the move process. So we actually drove the moving truck down, and it was a fun experience. We drove halfway and stayed at an Airbnb together, and then drove the other half and then stayed a couple of days. So actually getting to physically see where they were, see the place they were going to live. We went to church with them. I mean, that was really good. Unpacking, helping her get things put away, which, you know, is my job. I love organizing and getting things put away and making things look pretty. So that part of it. So I think that really was healing for me. I had so much peace when we got to the airport and got on that plane, and I kept saying, I'm going to be actually, I think your dad was more teary than me there, which was funny, but
he was more teary dropping me off at college. I remember him taking me to the side,
you guys
crying.
Are his babies. Yes. So yes. And I think that, so overall, I think that's what helped me. And then honestly, I talk to her more now than I ever did when she lived here. She's just very, very intentional about calling me. And we talk several times a week, if not almost every day, and just feeling like I'm part of her life more now because she's giving me details because I'm not there to see it. You know, we were laughing about that yesterday at church. We had a meeting and somebody was asking me about her, and I was telling them that. And I said, rather than get a 2-second call of, I'll see you at church, Mom, on Sunday. I'll catch up then. Instead of that, I'm getting like time with her, which is on the
It's
phone.
nice she has a long drive to and from work now, too.
Yes, that's what I said. I said for her, it might not be so nice, but it's nice for me because we
get to catch up with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, that's great. I really appreciate you sharing everything and being vulnerable and talking about the hard stuff, because motherhood is hard. It's emotional and it hurts sometimes, but there's the good moments overweigh the bad moments. And so I appreciate you being on here and talking to me. And thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe and follow me on all of the social media platforms. And make sure that you give your mom an extra hug this Mother's Day and thank her for all that she's done, because she definitely deserves it. And if you're a mom, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for loving your babies. And I hope you had a good Mother's Day. Thanks for watching.